Hello, welcome back to the Smallholding. So today I've got a couple of new perennial vegetables that I can add to my what is becoming my perennial part of the no-dig garden, this end of the holding. A couple of new things you may never have heard of before, both in the onion family. So this is a little pot of what is called raku scallion. And they're like a clump forming onion. They will multiply underground and form big clumps that you can then divide, and they'll produce little similar sort of size to those silver skin onions that you see in the jars, pickled onions, that sort of size onion. And they'll just, you can divide the clumps, space them out, and they'll just, each one will form new clumps and they will just keep coming and coming. And the other type, now this is one that I was trying to get hold of last year and I couldn't find them anywhere, and it is Egyptian walking onion. And it's called walking onion because basically it will grow like this with your normal sort of oniony tubey tops. It will flower and it will produce like a clump of small, what they call bulbils on top, and as that falls over and touches the ground, those bulbils will root and create new plants, which will then in turn grow a flower spike, which will then fall and root, and they walk around the garden, hence the name, Egyptian walking onion. And you can actually harvest the little bulbils and put them wherever you want as well. And again, they will produce a sort of smallish onion bulb, but again, perennial, it will just keep spreading. So these are a couple of things I'm gonna put in this side of the garden. Now I've had a bit of a nightmare in the cold weather. As you can see, these are my two evergreen perennial kales, Taunton Dean and Dorvington behind me, and completely dead, both of them. I mean, I say both of them. The Dorvington has got a couple of green leaves right at the bottom, but that -12, -14 we had just knocked them right on the head. So it was lucky that I'd taken some cuttings. I think, if I remember, I did about 5 of each. They all took, and they were in the polytunnel. I've got about 3 or 4 that look like they're just about hanging on. So I'm glad I took the cuttings, and I will replace them in the spring and just obviously hope that we don't get that sort of weather again. And if we do, I'll try and fleece them or something. I'll try and prepare better next time. A little bit sad as well, I bought some 9-star broccoli seedlings later on last year, and I'd potted them on and grown them on. They're probably 4 or 5 inches tall. That's something I've never grown before either. They all died in the cold as well. So I'm actually going to order some seed and try those again from seed. But this area, this last sort of patch of the no-dig area here is something I want to start getting into perennial. So I've got my asparagus bed is the first bed. In the drought last year, they didn't do particularly well. It was their first year. I'm also a little bit worried because obviously I've suffered terribly with wireworm because it was pasture before. I'm a little bit worried that the wireworm may have been into the asparagus. I did find 1 or 2. I had a little dig down by a crown, and I did find 1 or 2 in there, so could be touch and go this year. I'm gonna have to see. And I've also obviously got my Jerusalem artichokes in the next bed there. So in this bed at the moment is my elephant garlic and some soft neck garlic. But what I'm gonna do for now, because they're only 2 little pots, I'm just gonna pop them in these corners of the bed next to the elephant garlic here, and just let them come on for this year and see how they do, and then I can always move them later on in the year. So let's get them planted. So I'm just literally going to put them in right on the corner. They shouldn't get interfere with the elephant garlic at all. Like I say, this Egyptian walking onion is actually just 1 onion. It's a shame they couldn't have put 2 or 3 in the pack, but there you go. And there's a little worm coming along with it as well in the bottom. So I'm just going to pop him right on the corner there and hope he doesn't go walkabout. Not too far anyway. And then this bunching onion, the raku, I will just pop on this corner and then these can hopefully clump up, and I might at the end of this summer have enough to perhaps create 2 or 3 more little clumps from this one. But this perennial veg is something I'm getting more and more into, and I would like to kind of create a bit of a perennial food forest. I'm even thinking possibly going forwards of using half of my potato patch to actually create like a proper food forest with shrubs, trees, and just everything in all the different sort of height levels. Actually plan it properly and get something planted up in there. I will have to rabbit fence it better because the rabbits do get in there, which is quite annoying. But that could possibly be something that I'm going to do going forwards. I do like the idea of these perennial sorts of things as a very sustainable way of producing my own food. So I'm just kind of ordering all sorts of weird and wonderful things really, just to give them a go. And please, in the comments section, if there's anything you've tried perennial veg that you think is interesting, is worth a go, please just leave it in the comments, and I'll have a look, see if I can find some seeds or cuttings, and I'll give anything a go. It's definitely something I want to increase on the holding here. But anyway guys, hope you find these videos of these weird things interesting, and like I say, I'll add this to my perennial veg playlist, and there's going to be all sorts of weird things I'm sure going forwards. Anything I can find, I'm going to give some 9-star broccoli a go again, like I said, but anything I find, I'll do a video of it. I just think it's quite interesting. But anyway guys, we'll see you next time. Take it easy.